our systems are as vulnerable as they were 10 years ago. Disrupting electrical power, cascaded consequences. These threats are often military teams with orders from a commander. What we're building is training that is adaptive, it's real time. Textbooks teach to the past. What we're building is training that is adaptive, it's real time, and it's responding to the threats of today. While they're catching up with their curriculum, we're developing it on the fly, responding to each and every breach as they unfold in real time.
As a kid that grew up in the 90s, I grew up watching hackers and sneakers and all that stuff, and always thought that isn't possibly something that I could do. And then having the class with Dennis, like, oh, no, that is something that I can do.
I've always been into technology. Even in my early teens, when the first computers were coming out, I was quick to actually try and get one for the home and learned by trying things, breaking things, learning things, and trying again and repeating that. After active duty in the Navy, I settled down in Seattle, Washington, but I also wanted to pursue information technology in a more formal way, so I switched from the Navy and put on my Air Force uniform and joined the Air Guard in what became a new program at the time for cyber operations. I started to develop training with our unit on how we actually perform security assessments on critical infrastructure, and we performed assessments across the spectrum from everything from electrical utilities to election systems to airfields, and we were always working on these cyber to physical systems, looking at their complex nature and coming up with security recommendations. While I was in the Guard, I was doing really amazing missions all over the United States and even in parts of the world. And our team was always doing really interesting things on really interesting systems. And what they all kind of had in common is these are systems that we relied on for safety, for our quality of life, and that we kind of depended on, which makes them very different types of systems that you wouldn't see in traditional information technology. Like we hear about the breaches, personally identifiable information being stolen, but elsewhere, you know, we were really looking at the threats and the challenges of securing our critical infrastructure, because those electronic systems also communicate through networks, can be reached through the internet, and we rely on them for clean water, to keep our electricity on, to ensure that our elections are secure, to make sure that the military can actually operate at their strongest and most effective ways.
Hacking the newest training ground to stop cyber criminals. It's not inside the FBI or CIA headquarters, but a college classroom in Everett.
These type of devices are what actually keep our society thriving, and they're vulnerable right now.
Technology instructor Dennis Skarr saw both an opportunity and skyrocketing demand.
We need more professionals that understand what skills are required to adequately secure this environment.
I took that experience and those lessons learned and started to roll that into the different classes that I was teaching at my college. And you know, the subject matters were the same. You know, we're coming through the fundamentals of cybersecurity. But what I liked to do is work with those real world threats in real time and create meaningful exercises where students could experience what I was experiencing. Those attacks, disrupting electrical power, water, whether it's fresh, wastewater, communication systems, that is a broader reach to the public that we rely on for everyday things. Like if we don't have electrical power for 2-3 days, other systems that also rely on electrical power, which are also critical, begin to have these cascaded consequences. A few years back, there was a new strain of malware that actually kind of launched on a Wednesday, and it was called Pipe Dream. As an educator, how do I replicate that learning experience into the classroom tomorrow at 11 o'clock? I created an assignment where students had to respond to that threat. They walk away with a lived experience, responding how everyone else is that Thursday morning, responding to that threat. And that's the type of training we're creating and delivering, and have them respond to it in a classroom experience, just like we were experiencing in uniform as I would kind of disappear from the class for a couple of weeks. And that became something that students would actually get excited for. Like when I would be leaving for a couple of weeks, they knew that some cool exercise was kind of coming when I would actually kind of come back. And students would have this lean-in type of approach to that style of learning in the classroom.
He's the reason I'm doing it. Having the class with Dennis, like, oh, no, that is something that I can do, because it's not like the movies. It's something that's much more accessible and that I can actually wrap my brain around. Like, mainly it was Dennis's passion and like the stories that he told about kind of the stuff that he did and the people he got to work with. So it was like, okay, like, cybersecurity is awesome.
You know, when ChatGPT came out with a new version, I started experimenting with it a little bit more. And I was impressed right away. I'm like, wow, for a struggling student in something documented like cybersecurity, the answers were pretty accurate. In my different exercises, I started writing prompts for students to ask when I kind of got to that part in the exercise. I'm like, I sense students struggle here. So why don't we build in an AI tutor into that assignment? So as students need support, the tool and the prompt to get them past that part of the assignment could be done as if I was sitting side by side with them. The debate was, you know, students are just going to be using this tool to cheat, but these students were using AI for a year now. And what I observed in that classroom was spectacular, because as they're working on a project, they were able to progress through those exercises at an exponential rate with a higher degree of accuracy, because those students knew how to reprompt, or when the information was inaccurate. And they were reprompting, discussing it, and they worked through the tool to actually produce a better product. They knew it well enough to the point where they could use this tool to know when it was right, when it was kind of off, and what they needed to do to circle back and create a better product. And at that time, I knew that this wasn't a fad, this isn't a thing. This is very much a powerful tool for learning if it's used correctly.
I think the biggest thing that Dennis forced me out of my shell and helped me with getting me to present and be able to speak and convince people, because unfortunately I can't just sit behind a keyboard and do the whole job, and I will have to be convincing managers and higher ups to spend the money that they need to spend to defend their systems. And he's given me plenty of opportunities to present to large groups of people. He really shows up and uses his position and his privilege to lift up others around him. It's been amazing.
What we're creating here is we are creating a learning platform that's dynamic. We can respond to the real world threats and update our training as the threats present themselves, and do that in a way where we have physical trainers for students to interact with, as well as AI-powered tools to assist them with the different techniques, methods, and products that they need to be successful to defend against something that they're going to be facing when they graduate. These threat actors continue to evolve year after year. They're getting more sophisticated. Their tools are becoming more capable, sophisticated, and easier to use. We need to scale up our defenders. We need to start doing something today, because the threats are getting more and more capable. If you are half as excited about this product as I am, please go to skarr.net and sign up for our mailing list, and we'll have a product for you as well as your students to interact with just in time for Cybersecurity Awareness Month. So stay tuned and we'll keep you updated.